Hey there, I'm Tracy Rigdon, and this is the Contrast Project Lounge podcast. Often random, but always relevant, always real, and practically nothing is off limits. This podcast is for you. Are you ready for this? Let's do it. Back to another edition of Wednesday Night Live with my good friend, Mr. Jim Alabiso. Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Been a really busy day, but I'm really looking forward to this one.
I know. We have a very good friend of yours on with us tonight. Can you enlighten our audience on who's with us?
Yeah, my good friend, fellow inspirer, open water aficionado, and badass, Giancarlo Bertozzi.
Hey, guys. Hey, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah. So we're doing this underwater. That's why we're wearing our goggles.
That's right.
I got my pet whale with me over here.
I know. It's
I
great.
posted some dolphin pics.
I wanted to
some
say
dolphin pics earlier. So
I wanted to go ahead and say welcome to our audience members. We have several people in there. Greetings to you, John, from I believe that's Kentucky.
hey, John. Fish.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk a little bit about some open water swimming, which both of you guys do on a regular basis.
Yes, we do.
I'm kind of irregular right now, but I'm just getting back to it.
Jim's finding his mojo again. His ocean mojo.
Yeah. But Giancarlo's been just pretty much training up for some stuff he'll tell you about in a little bit. But yeah.
That's that's a lot of fun. And I was telling John a little while ago, that I find my grounding actually on the ground, whereas you guys, you get out there in the open water and it frees your soul.
Did you tell him that you're barefoot when you do it?
I do it barefoot.
Toes in the dirt.
I get my feet
well, you
there.
must do it. That's the only way to ground in the ground, right?
That's it.
I mean, seriously, come on.
I love it. I go out there every single morning, and all of my cats follow me out there. I have 14 of them.
That's kind of like Giancarlo. He goes out to the ocean every morning, and all our cats follow him out there.
I don't know about that. I'm just the guy with the camera, and a lot of people love to do what I do, the same thing, and love the sunrise.
Yep.
There we go. There's the sun.
There you go.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that would be the Jacksonville Beach Pier.
Yeah, that's the Jack's Beach Pier. There's a picture of just a weekend swim, bunch of people getting, and then this is why we do it right there. Just the sun. You're in the ocean, watching the sun come over the horizon. Every day's a little bit different. It's the beauty of it. The beauty of Jack's Beach. It's unbelievable the type of sunrises that we get. Mm-hmm. Every morning is something a little bit different. The sunrise is a little bit different. Even cloudy days, so we'll sometimes produce some spectacular.
They're actually better, aren't they, John? During when it's cloudy.
Yeah,
a little bit cloudy. You get what you see in this picture over here. Where you got some orange up on the clouds and stuff. If it's perfectly clear, it's nowhere near as beautiful as this kind of thing.
You see a significantly greater color contrast when you have clouds and the sunlight reflecting off of it, and it could produce some spectacular images. And that's another one of my passions, just capturing it. Just love doing it, and just sharing it, posting it, because people really seem to enjoy it. So I really enjoy
most of these photos were John's. But the neat thing is like if you get in before the sun rises, and you're swimming north from the pier, if you're a right breather or every other breath is to the right, you see the sun start edging up. cracking the horizon, like a stop frame animation. And there are times when we've all stopped when the sun cracks the horizon and just did a little George Harrison, Here Comes the Sun, sing along.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, seriously.
well, the thing about it is when you look at it, from a swimmer's perspective, you're literally you're horizontal to the water, and you have that vantage point where you're looking directly as that sun's peeking over the horizon. Not many people get that perspective, and it's just it's a blessing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's very unique, isn't it? You just don't really get a picture of the sunrise at when your eye is at water level.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, from the shore, which you still enjoy, it's still beautiful, but it's just a unique perspective. And I like to just capture it, just to be able to share it for other people so they get to see it too.
Well, they're beautiful
So,
images.
and you're like, and these are Giancarlo's, but and like John said, it's like different every time, So
what about?
how did you?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
No, I was just going to say. So, I mean, I know some of this stuff because I've known you for a long time, but so just what started you, for our audience? What started you swimming? Like you're in the pool, just before open water swimming. Let's kind of rewind back there.
Okay, I'll give you a quick, a brief rundown. I grew up here in Jacksonville. I'm a Jacks boy. I was a competitive swimmer from the time I was 9 to 18, and it was, with the Bulls organization, swam by high school, university, at Bulls for 4 years, but I was doing doubles from the time I was in 7th grade, all the way through. And so I was a swimmer. That was part of my identity in high school and everything like that. But then, supposed to swim in college, I fell through, swam off and on, and then basically through college, and then just kind of got out of it. And I get married. I find a girl. I get married. I have a kid. Then I have 2 others. And then all of a sudden, it's just not about me. And I just, swimming just became completely, a memory. But the funny thing is that I've always considered myself a swimmer as part of my identity. And the joke, and many people will know this, is that I could always swim. I always thought I could always swim 1,000 yards. Not a problem. I mean, that could be 310 pounds. I'll always be able to swim 1,000 yards. Well, I gave up swimming for 25 years. I just didn't really get in the water. I frolic around every once in a while, but nothing. But then all of a sudden, series of life changes, marriage not really working out. I get these voices in my head. It's like, I love swimming. I'm like, what? Out of the blue, I love swimming. It just came out. It came in my head, subconsciously or what? I don't know. Something inside was telling me, I'll get back in the water, or these type of messages for a while. And then finally, I just decided to try to do, swim 1,000 yards because I always can. I can only do 500 yards, and I was torched. But I was infuriated about that, because it's like, all of a sudden my identity, but I can't swim 1,000 yards. I've always been able to swim 1,000 yards. But literally, that got me back in the water. And just to do a series of fortunate, things lining up, I had a membership at the local Y, and I basically got in the water. And before I knew it, within 3-4 months, I was banging out 5,000 yards again. I'm like, okay, it came back. And then it came back to me, and I got really, really stronger and stronger. And somebody basically just said, asked me about a year later, it's like, have you ever thought about swimming in the ocean? I'm like, what? Is there such a thing? Hey, I'd never even heard of it, but for me, it was like the concept was amazing, because it's my
What year was that? What year was that?
That was about going on 10 years ago.
Yeah, so we were talking like 15, right?
Yeah, easy.
I think it was around that time. I'm not sure about the dates yet, but it was around that time that open water swimming became an Olympic sport.
Yeah, to coincide.
Right? Somewhere within a few years of that.
Somewhere. I was like 2013, 14, something like that. And the thing is,
but they said Giancarlo's doing it, we better make it an Olympic sport.
See, I have my greatest advocate right here.
Can I tell you my bowls experience really quick? I did one swim at bowls, There was a competition. I forgot Harry or something, whatever competition. And the age groups are basically, 19 and over is an age group. And I was like 50 something, right?
Yeah.
And so Diego and I did this, John.
Right.
In fact, I got a great picture of this. And so Diego and I did this. Diego's in his 30s. I'm hitting 50. And there's all these guys in the pool that are 19 and over going, we're not going to let this old fart beat us. There's
No,
just
right.
no
way.
way. Can you imagine being 19 years old in pools and some old fart beats you across the
Not
pool?
gonna happen.
So,
No, it's not
right?
gonna happen.
So anyway, the slowest guy beat me by like a second and a half or
There's a
something.
lot of fast people.
And he was intimidated. But yeah,
he
I know.
didn't want to be the guy.
That was my
Right?
big Bulls fail. Anyway, go on.
Well, what I was saying, is that for me, it was a marriage of my two favorite things: the ocean. Because growing up as a kid, I was always gravitating to the ocean. That was my favorite place to be, and swimming. And so he told me that there's a group that just swims, gathers, every Sunday, and they meet up here and they swim, and you should check them out. And go figure, he told me to hook up with Jim Alabiso. So Jim's the first person I contacted, and then it took me one swim, and I was like, this is fun. I did pretty well. I had no idea how I would do. Did pretty well, and I was hooked. And then I became a weekend warrior for a year or two, just showing up. And then I started doing, a few mornings when I could. And then a series of life changes. My marriage ended, everything, my life flipped around. And then swimming became the ocean became my therapy, became my salve, my, all of it, my release, my escape, everything during probably the worst period of my life.
And I think I remember that, but I think it's a common denominator among a lot of us.
Yeah.
It was for me, because my first big open water swim was across the St. John's from Mandarin to, from Orange Park to Mandarin.
Yeah.
And it was a goal that I set for myself because I was laid up from a bad hip break. It was like, wheelchair and crutches and all that stuff for me. Walking for about a year. And so that was kind of like to get myself back in shape again. Not that I was in not really great shape before, but I started swimming, and it got me through a whole lot of crap and a lot of crap out of that as well. Because, no matter how grumpy you are or tired you are in the morning, once you get in the water and you get out.
I was about to say that.
What does everybody's face look like, John?
They're all beaming. I've never seen somebody come out of the water with a frown on their face. Never. Even a bad swim is a good swim. Why? Because you just got out of the ocean. You got to swim in the ocean. I mean, that's my mindset. And
remember that? Were you there that time? I got dropped by a wave and I got the concussion. My head was bleeding.
Yeah, and you were smiling still. Yeah,
I was still smiling. I didn't even know I had a concussion.
I just said the thing. I got concussed. When I got concussed, I was actually kind of laughing about it, going, "Man, I got my bell rung." Then I got, this is actually more serious than I thought. Or Ian, when he got slammed and he basically had, goggles went into it, and he had blood on his face. He still had a big smile on his face. It's like something.
Ian, if you're listening, he had the imprints of goggles around his eyes and his nose, and just in a cut like this, the shape like this.
Yeah. She could be strong.
Yeah.
Mama nature. Mama
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's your favorite swim location? I'm guessing Jack's Beach.
Jack's Beach is home. But I've swum a number of different places around the country. I mean, I've swum up north, had some fun. I've swum in Peru, which has been pretty amazing. I've actually had some really incredible, because I have family down there, and pre-COVID, I used to go there all the time, once a year for many years, and I always swam, and it was funny because it's like you don't swim that beach. The currents are too strong. I'm like, oh, I'm swimming that beach, and I did. Um, and they thought I was going to be drowning, and up here I'm walking out, just kind of laughing and smiling, going, "Yeah, that was a great one." So I've enjoyed that. But I got to tell you, there was probably my favorite swim has to be La Jolla in San Diego. It was one of the La Jolla Cove, and I was swimming, and I was looking to swim to Scripps Pier. And it was actually, I was there with the girlfriend I had at the time, and then basically I was Scripps Pier and La Jolla. It's right there in the cove. It's a straight shot. It's about a mile and a half. So I was thinking I'm going to go back there and back 3 miles. But then I started realizing that the current was actually starting to push, and I didn't know I wasn't familiar with the water, so I didn't know how strong it was. So I'm like, I better stop. I got about a mile in, and I'm like, I better turn around. Otherwise my girlfriend would start losing her mind. So I started swimming back in. Well, La Jolla is famous for all the sea lions, and anybody that knows me knows that my all-time favorite animal is a sea lion. I love seals. Absolutely love seals. It's my favorite. And lo and behold, as I'm about 400 yards from entering the cove, I'm swimming, minding, just kind of in my own little groove. And I look to my right, and all of a sudden I see two eyes staring right at me. I'm like, whoa, what is that? And I realized it was a sea lion. It was a sea lion. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was startled for a minute there, but then I started chilling up because he was just checking me out. And then the next thing you know, he escorted me the whole way back in. And he's, swimming around on one side, going underneath to the next side, swimming up front. The water's deep, so he'd dive down deep. He'd go up, twirling around. It was just he was putting on a show for me as escorting me back in. It was like probably the most magical thing I've ever experienced in the ocean.
Oh, wow.
That's got to be my favorite. Just love it. I mean, I loved it. And that's the one that gave me the greatest memory for me personally. But I mean, I'm sure knowing me, I mean, my goal is just to go all over the world, all over, and just experience and explore and do these crazy ass swims. But we'll see. So maybe a couple of years down the road, I'll have a different experience. We'll see.
Well, I mean, we also get some wildlife here, don't we?
Are you kidding me? I just posted pictures this morning of a dolphin.
Where at?
Here, Jack's Beach.
No, I mean, where?
Right there. It was right by, I would say, midway between, maybe a quarter mile north of the pier.
Yeah, was it far out or closer or what?
Well, it was fairly not too far out. It's kind of midway up through the pier, but I was swimming more on the inside. But I saw kind of like 10 o'clock because I'm swimming south. I saw at 10 o'clock. I saw Joey Civello, and I saw him just kind of swimming in south, and I saw two fins real close but moving the opposite direction, and Joey's a little bit ahead of me. I'm like, oh my God. So I literally raced due east, just raced straight out into deeper water, hoping I could catch him, and sure enough I was able to.
Right.
The sun stops.
That's going to be your 5-minute mile. You do that.
We'll see. I was sprinting. There's no doubt about that, because I was like, if I can get these guys, it'd be really cool, and they came out pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, we got a lot of cool wildlife.
Manta rays.
I mean, I love seagulls. I love pelicans in particular. We call them pterodactyl, but pterodactyl, and they're great. And there's just the way they hover over the water, they're in formation, and there's just like just as a wave is about to break, there's like a little tuft of air right on top of the wave, and they're just kind of riding it in unison, in just formation. It's the coolest thing.
There was a really great article about the science and physics of how they do that.
Yeah.
Why because you'll see them get really low and
super low,
swim in the curl, and they swim over you. You want to get on your back and watch them do their thing.
They're pretty neat birds. They're pretty neat birds. So yeah, we get a lot of cool stuff, and then we get the evil critters too. So it's just stuff we got to deal with.
Cinnamon buns?
No, well, yes, men in gray suits. Yes, we do have cinnamon buns, aka sharks.
Yeah.
Um,
We
but
don't say the shark word that often. We
no,
just say,
not when they're in the water. We're in the water. We don't talk.
yeah.
It's kind of like a taboo thing. You don't say the word, even though they're out there. But we don't really think about it. I mean, everybody asks us, it's like, aren't you afraid of sharks? I'm like, I think you've seen too many Jaws movies. And it's like, we're just not their food. But we don't even think about it, really. Most people don't. Most people amongst us don't.
One time, Ian and I were walking north to swim back. I guess it was a bit of a nor'eastery thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there were like 3 black tips in the water in the shallows, just kind of walking swimming up at our walking pace, and we finally got a mile or 2, wherever far up we were going to get in. They were still around. And we were like, we're going to go in? Yeah. We went in.
No, I mean, I remember a story when there was this is about 3 years, 4 years back. There was a huge mullet run, and Santiago, with one of our resident nutties, love him to death. He saw a shark, and it was a good sized shark, and he was kind of little shallows. He goes, "We're just going to swim about 100 yards north, and we'll get in there." Like 100 yards is really going to make that big of a difference, but but for him, it's like, that's all I need. I'm good. But it's fine.
Now, you guys are members of Duval Ocean Swimmers?
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good sized group, isn't it?
Yeah, we have about 2,000 members.
Wow.
We have people that are actually requesting to join. Couple every day now. It's
Every
really
day,
growing significantly. Yeah, and it used to be 50 to 100 that are actually active, or at least show up like once or a couple times a year. I would say that number is up at this closer to 300 now, 400. I mean, the number's growing. I think it's a lot of the advent of the popularity of open water and ocean swimming, popularity of a lot of triathletes are starting to realize that, you know what, I need to get open water or training instead of just doing it in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually a fairly recent change, because I started in 2010 with Diego, and he was already swimming Duval Ocean Swim. But he was the one that got me in there, because I met him over at Good Shepherd Pool in Riverside. And that's before I did the swim across the St. John's. And he says, well, you better train in some open water before you do that. And so he brought me to Duval Ocean Swimmer. So I've been there since, I guess, 2007, 8, something like that. And it was a lot smaller group back then. And we didn't see any triathletes over there. And then, eventually we started getting triathletes coming, and they told other triathletes, and they told their friends, and they told their friends. Because, triathlete, if the first time they get in the open water is in a triathlon, they're in for a big surprise. It ain't no pool. It's kind of like the pool is, and I'm not, dissing pools by any means, but when you compare open water to a pool, it's kind of like a treadmill versus going on a run, because, a pool is a lot about timing, whereas, the ocean is more about, the zen, getting in the zone, dealing with conditions. Speaking of which, this is one of your photographs here, right? Right. So it's not always, beautiful sunrises, right? It's not always calm waters. Why don't you tell them about the time we had those 19-foot ditches behind the swells? You tell them that story.
Yeah, okay. So this is a time back when we were basically, Jim and I were somewhat vagabonds, and we basically didn't really, I was Ubering, and Jim just didn't have he was in between jobs, kind of transitioning back out of his art world, and getting back in the corporate world. But we had time on our hands, and we swam, and one morning it was like, I don't know, 6 to 8 feet in the morning, and had a great time. We swam, and then he called me up like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and said, it's bigger. It's like 9 to 10. Like, you want to go? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So he and I went out there, and we didn't realize it, but literally these faces had grown to like, 15 plus. And we were looking at these things. I mean, one minute I'm like, we're face to face, and then the next minute Jim is like 2 stories up on top of me, and I'm like, what are we in? This is insanity. Um, it,
It was.
it
What's
was
the but what's the biggest challenge though? Getting in the water, swimming it, or getting out?
getting out. Getting out, because the problem is you don't you when you're swimming into a break, you actually see it's coming at you, so you can react really quickly, or you can do your best to react. You can duck dive, you can just find a rip that gets you out deeper, whatever it might be. Swimming in the swells is actually pretty fun because it's just going up and down, probably with a big fast current. But actually, you'd be surprised. It's actually surprisingly peaceful out there once you're out in the swells, even though from ashore it looks like an absolute torrent, and it is. But coming in, well, you have the waves coming out there on your backside, so you don't see them as well because, well, you're looking the opposite direction. So you don't have that vantage point. So they're not coming at you, they're coming from behind you, so they can catch you from behind. So you really have to be mindful of that. So I always tell
Otherwise, you
people,
get a concussion.
yeah, you can get, the wave can take you, especially when it's shallower water, and just slam you. But the reality is, if you're a really proficient swimmer, if you're really comfortable out there, I mean, I've always said that the water will take you, but the water will also release you. So just relax, and then basically when it releases you, then you basically just assess and what you have to do. And if you've been out there long enough and have enough experience, you'll be fine. I mean, people that we swim with know how to tread water for a long, long, long time, and they can figure it out.
And
So
I think
just
sometimes your body too, because this is part of being in the zone, right? It's like you almost anticipate what's coming, and you don't really have to think about what you have to do. It's
right,
just almost like automatic, isn't
intuitive.
it?
Yeah, it's intuitive.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, talking about conditions, talk about winter. Let's talk about winter. So, because dual ocean swimmers, all of us, whether we're swimming dual ocean swimmers or swimming in California or whatever, we're swimming in cold water. So maybe we should talk about that a little bit.
Sure.
You
Well,
should go ahead. Give us this. Give everybody the deal on the benefits of swimming in cold water and acclimating and all that bit.
I mean, they're continuously coming with new reasons why you want to, and you'll see there's a huge trend going on. People just the whole notion of cold water immersion. It all started with a guy named Wim Hof, who was like the father of cold water immersion. Just some crazy Scandinavian guy and he had his method, but now everybody's subscribing to it. But what people are starting to realize is that, um, the benefits of being in cold water, not for an extended period of time, but for, just even the plunge or just a quick dip or even 5 minutes. I mean, you're seeing immersion tubs out left and right, and it's a big thing now because it positive impacts on your circulatory system, your digestive system, your skin,
Endorphins.
your immune
Oh yeah.
system, your respiratory system, all of it. And not to mention your mental disposition, because when you get out of cold water, super cold water, and now all of a sudden you're warmed up, the endorphins are just coursing through you. You experience a euphoric high that pretty hard to beat, and it
Yeah, it's
stays
like
with you
what
for a long
drug are
time.
you on?
Yeah, I mean
So,
it's
uh,
not it's a natural drug in its own right. Your body's
Hmm.
producing it just because you've experienced. You put it through a
well, part of
shock.
it, the science of that too, is that we have our nerves that can feel temperature are different than the nerves that feel pain. So you have a nerve that says this is hot or this is cold. It
Hmm.
doesn't tell you it's painful hot or painful cold. It just says it's heat or it's not heat. Then there's others, your pain nerves, that are saying this is painful. So you get in the water and you sense that it's cold. But when you get your whole body in water, like what we got down to 47 degrees one winter,
45.
45. So when you get your body in that water, your whole body is interpreting that as pain. So when so your body starts producing these endorphins that just last for a couple of days.
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But people are, you're really, really taking it to heart. Immersion tubs everywhere. People are really talking about it.
Right?
Yeah, I used to think this is really stupid. This is crazy. But now I'm keep hearing people talk about it all the time. I'm like, there's legitimacy to it. I mean,
There's some crazy.
yeah. Well, that's back when we wore a wetsuit.
Yeah.
No
Back
wetsuit.
then.
No wetsuit.
Now it's like that. Right. Speaking of water being good for you,
Yep. Great
you
book.
read this, John?
I have. You turned me on to
Yeah.
it.
So this guy wrote the book. The thing is that I read this. I've been swimming for a long, long time, but I read this after I'd been swimming. So for me, it was affirming. But the subtitle is "The Surprising Science That Shows How Being Near and or Under Water Can Make You Happier, Healthier, More Connected, and Better at What You Do." So, so Wallace Nichols actually talks about the science and basically affirms that we kind of already know, but now we know why it is the way it is, why you get your best ideas in the shower, why your frequency of your brain slows down while you're in the water. So both of us, I'm sure, recommend this book to anybody that wants to understand why water is such a great thing, eh?
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating study.
So
Blue mind.
you got something on your agenda. You got something on your agenda, don't you there,
I do.
Bertozzi?
I do.
What's on your training for what? A
Well, I
25-meter
have
pool swim?
no more, no pool swim. I have the Catalina Channel attempt, which is what I call my BHAG, big hairy audacious goal. It's come from Catalina Island all the way to the coast of LA, right around Rancho Palo Verde, or somewhere there about just south of Long Beach. Yep, there is the track. It's getting in Catalina in the water at Catalina, leaving Catalina Island and swimming to the other side through the night. At 10 p.m. you start and hopefully finish by noon the following day. Because you don't want to be in the middle of the channel in the afternoon, because that's when you're dealing with some seriously hairy winds and hairy currents and waves and swells and so forth. And so, yeah, that's the goal. Hopefully,
So how long are you anticipating it's going to be?
I'd like to be able to do it sometime somewhere between 12 and 13 hours. So if I get in at 10, I'd like to be able to be done by 10 or 11, somewhere thereabouts, before noon. That would be the goal. If I did that, if I got in before noon, I think I'd be a pretty good chance of being able to finish. Because you also have to worry about the water temperature dropping the last 3-4 miles, leading.
Why is that? Why has it dropped the last 3 or 4 miles?
It's the water's deeper. It just gets colder, and it's funny because you see that here in Jacksonville. You see it,
Sure.
it's colder, as you get into shallower water. It's weird how that is. But sure enough, that's been the area where a lot of people, it's broken a lot of people where they're at their weakest, and they basically now all of a sudden, not on top of everything, they have to deal with the water, temperature dropping 4 degrees, 5 degrees, which can be at that point feel exponential.
So what do you do? What's the training regimen here for this?
Well, I've been training. I mean, I've been up in the training now. The general rule of thumb is what you can swim in a week, you can swim in a day. So that's a 21, 22-mile swim. So I'd like to be able to work my way up where I'm consistently doing about 25, miles a week, a week. Getting to that, I'm starting to up the distances now. I'm probably right around that 14, 15, somewhere thereabouts now. So just got to keep incrementing it. We have some, the 8 mile training swims that the DOS does. First one's June 1st. Going to
That's
be
from
doing
where to
that.
where? Tell the audience where that is
That's from
from.
Michler's. That's from Michler's Beach in South Ponte Vedra all the way to South Jacksonville Beach, right around the seascape, which is like 13th Avenue South, somewhere thereabouts. It's about an 8 mile plus swim, and
Yeah.
then so you gotta worry about a lot of feeding. I mean a lot of training, a lot of swimming, doing some CrossFit, doing some trying to get back into that, back in the gym, and I'll have to start doing some more cold water immersion. I don't wear a wetsuit.
It's
I
so
don't wear one.
hard to
I
do it
do.
here. I remember my first cold water swim was Alcatraz, right?
Yeah.
And I had nowhere here except the springs where the water was 72 degrees. And I was going to
Yeah.
jump off of a boat at Alcatraz right into 54-degree water. I
It's
wasn't even going to
crazy.
get used to it. It was just like, bam. And there's just no place to do it here. So it's just
No.
like, you just got to, but you can go a couple of days before. I remember, I think Luis
Well,
and I did this, right?
I'll be doing
And he and
that.
I, yeah,
I'll be doing
yeah,
that.
getting your body,
I'll
getting your
be
body.
I'll probably be there a week ahead of I will be there a week ahead of time. Up in a couple of 3 days or so in Northern California and San Francisco in the Bay Area. Hopefully swim there and a couple other places, and then swim. I mean, swimming in the Pacific is still going to be cold, so that's going to help me. But I'm also going to be doing, I got my garden tub here. I got to be, filling it with ice in throughout the summer and just doing my own plunges too.
Can you
Because,
tell us a bit? Sorry.
well, no, go ahead.
I was just going to, yeah, so that part of that is cold water training and getting a ton of ice, right?
No, yeah.
And so it's like, tell people that are interested in open water swimming or having goals like what you have right now. So, in the pool, you're really talking about shaving seconds off your swim. It's really about speed, right?
Yeah.
And, um, but a swim like this is less about speed, more about endurance, correct?
Yes.
So
Yeah. I
tell us more
mean,
about that. Especially, enduring cold temperatures for, you know, 12, 13 hours.
okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I stopped wearing a wetsuit 5 years ago, and because I had always, by that point in time, I'd actually had these thoughts in my head, these goals that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a channel. But if I ever want to do a channel, I cannot wear a wetsuit now. I got to start getting used to doing, swimming
Yeah.
in very cold water on a consistent basis and be able to tolerate it. Now, thankfully, I'm not the thinnest of guys, so I got a little bit of meat on me, and that
We
helps
call
me.
that a natural wetsuit.
That's a natural wetsuit, but don't call me no walrus, nothing like that.
I wouldn't
Um,
do that.
but So it's a trade-off when it comes to the actual when it comes to that, because yes, you want to have some speed, and the lighter you are, you're going to pick up some speed, because more speed, that basically means that you actually are able to move through the water faster. You're able to actually maintain a better, a faster pace, and you're going to finish faster. But there's a trade-off, because at what how thin are you going to be, um, and can you tolerate the cold temperatures at a much lighter weight, since you don't have near as much padding, so to speak, as Jim mentioned it. So
So, like Catalina, what's the range of temperatures you're going to be swimming in?
Catalina's, during the time I'm going to be swimming, is probably going to be about 64 degrees, somewhere thereabouts, which is
That's
not
like
all
that's
that
like
bad.
that's like Tahoe. Yeah.
It's not all that bad, and and you could swim it for a half hour, an hour, 2 hours, but 12 hours, 13 hours, that's where it starts to really take a toll, and that's when people start getting cold. And then at the end, again, it could drop from 64 degrees to high 50s. Okay, now it's a big thing too. So yeah, that's a massive drop. So again, you got to find, and I think each individual person has to figure that out with, if they're serious about it, is that what is my ideal way to do this? At what
It's a
speed,
balance between how much padding or fat you need on your body
right?
to keep you warm versus how fast you want to go.
And not to mention, what kind of feeds are you going to do? So you also have to eat. So you have to figure out your nutrition. What kind of, because you got to be eating every 30 minutes at max, more like maybe 20 minutes. What are
Who's
you
going to
going to
be your
be?
Shupa out there?
What?
Who's going to be your Shupa out there?
Well, Swanee was going to be there, and Talbot's going to be one, and I might have somebody else coming. We'll see. But they're going to be, I got to figure that. That's the one thing you got to figure out is that what kind of feeds am I going to be doing, because you have to have fuel, one, to fuel your body to keep swimming, but number two, you need that fuel because that's your stomach is your furnace. And that's what's generating a lot of heat internally while you're swimming in, so that's an important thing that, I have to be figuring out. And that's one of the big goals, big things that I'm going to be looking to do over the course of the summer, especially these long ones. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a lot of planning. So I
Yeah.
got to
puts a
ask
lot
you
of
this one
thinking, a
here.
lot of things running through your head. You have to actually figure out what's going to make sense for you, because everybody's a little bit different. Okay, here we go.
All right. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is, um, and we don't really have a lot of time to go over the article, but one of the most interesting things that I read about her, besides shark infested waters and all that, is you're swimming for 30 miles, right? So you figure that's I don't even remember how many hours it took her to do it, but take a while and guess. 30
Uh,
miles,
it took her probably 18 hours.
it's 18 hours. That sounds about right. What is going through your head? You thought about work. You thought about the argument you had with whoever. You thought about this. You thought about that. You wrote a poem or something. But then after a while, after you're swimming for 8 or 9 hours and your arms just keep doing this and this, what goes through your head?
Any number of things. I mean, I don't. God, that's the thing, and that's one thing a lot of people have trouble when it comes to doing channels is that they start getting into their head, and then they start letting things like I'm tired, I'm cold,
Sad
those
part.
things start to creep
Mm-hmm.
in, and then they start to, you gotta fight that. Because when you're weakest, when you're tired, is you don't have much else to think about. Probably you've already been thinking, and maybe every song that you actually have memorized, you've already sung in your head for 14 times anyway.
Uh,
Yeah.
Those things start to come in your head. And you got to be very, very. You got to be strong. It's just it's a mental game too. It's
uh-huh.
so
Well,
that's one
this
thing the
is the
swimmers
best.
love. What?
Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm
No,
listening.
that's
Good.
the thing about open water, which is great, is that you do have the opportunity to kind of be just in your own mind. Sometimes your brain is just shuts down, and you don't think of anything except for just the the cacophony of sound. The actual every sound, every the stroke is a little bit different. The actual how your water catches into the water is a different sound. How you breathe in, how you exhale, it's a different sound. How you recover, it's a different sound. But it's a rhythmic. Those sounds are, one comes after the other, comes after the other, comes after the other, and it continuously like that. So what happens is it becomes a rhythmic thing, and it becomes almost kind of a Zen-like experience, because it's you can get into a trance because it's the same thing over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes your brain can just completely go wild. So that's the cool thing about that. I mean, you have the opportunity to either shut down and just kind of zone out and get your own little peaceful place, or you can be inspired to come up with some really cool thoughts and cool ideas and stuff like that.
And there's always a takeaway from those too, because, and this is true of a lot of endurance, probably most endurance sports, is it's kind of like a metaphor for life, isn't it? Because it's all about overcoming. I'm
Yeah.
overcoming this way. I'm overcoming, and I guess the biggest thing is I'm like you were just saying, John, is I'm overcoming the crap that's going on in my head. I'm hungry. I'm not going to make it. It's too cold. I don't know if I can do this one more time, you know.
Mhm.
And you can, when you get back on land and you get challenges in our own lives, which both of us have gone through and many of our friends have, it kind of like, you can kind of use your challenging swims as a reference point to, yeah, I've overcome some stuff before in my life and in the water. And that kind of, oh, I can
Yeah.
see the finish line, so I'm going to turn it on.
I will say one thing. Swimmers in general are very confident people, because, well, number one, especially open water swimmers, ocean swimmers, it's like we do something that not many people do, and most people would be deathly afraid of. And most of the time, they call us crazy, or you're out of your mind. And
Yeah.
personally, I eat that shit up. I love that. I love being called crazy. And it's kind of gives you an inner confidence that we do some stuff that just nobody would even think about doing, and when we get really, really extreme, even better. Again, that's something that nobody does, and it's kind of makes you unique. And to Jim's point, there's a lot of challenges in any swim, and you're like, damn, that was a hard swim, but you come out of it thinking, you know what, I got stronger. I'm a better swimmer. I'm a better swimmer because of that experience, because of that right there, that swim right there. And you're generally more confident in what you do and in nature in general. I mean, it carries over.
That's very
So I was
inspiring.
going to
Very
ask you,
inspiring.
I mean, it is. I mean, just, it is not just to hear about it, but to actually do it, and I think we conspire to inspire each other,
Yeah, we do. That's a beautiful thing about our group is that we have so many people that are doing so many cool things. I mean, Ironman triathletes doing ultra runs. We're doing some, channel swims, doing crazy things. And we all support each other. We all inspire each other. I mean, I've always been, positivity begets positivity. It breeds more. Somebody doing one thing that's really cool is going to inspire somebody else to do it. I never thought about doing a channel, but then our channel Queen Erin O'Leary started banging out these channels, and we're like, holy crap! And then we started swimming these 8-mile swims. Nobody swam 8 miles. Nobody did that except for Aaron and Rick, our friends, because they were training for her to do it. And then a bunch of us started doing those ourselves just to support her. And then we started realizing, you know what? We just knocked out an 8-mile swim. Holy crap, that's great. And we were happy about that. We had fun doing it. And then we kept doing it. And guess what? More and more people started doing it. And now that we got 40, 50 people in our group alone, they can bang out an 8-mile training swim. Pretty damn good. And it all started because of one person. It's just how it works.
That's
I don't
amazing.
want to forget this classic picture.
Up the river, baby.
Up the
There
river,
you
baby.
go.
I gotta shrink it here for my screen. But yeah, so this was I don't remember which year this one was. But John's done quite a few of these, and this is where we get in at Jacksonville University. And we swim we call it up the river downtown. And we swim 10 kilometers to Riverside Arts Market.
How about that?
And it's one hell of a awesome trip to swim underneath the Main Street Bridge.
It's amazing
Right?
swim. A lot
And
of
get on
fun.
our
We need to
back.
bring it back. We need to bring
I
Jim, get your
know.
mojo back so we can actually do that.
Do what now?
Get your mojo back so we can do that again.
It's so much work.
I know.
This is our launching point. There you are in a wetsuit. It must have been 1,000 years ago.
Ages ago, my man.
And then that's another group of us. Oh, look at Mike in the back. He always,
Well, look at me in the back of the blue cap. And look at me with a darker beard. My beard now I'm white. I didn't realize that the ocean bleaches hair. Go figure.
Yeah.
Look at that. Mine was already gray back then. So,
yeah, well.
And then sometimes we do that to raise money too, because we went during this swim. We got up on stage at the end. We had raised money for the Special Olympics, and so we have the big FAW check the beginning of the money and all that. But it's a lot of fun. And so there's things you can do as a swimmer, not just for yourself, but
Sure.
you can talk about this, John, about some of the things that charities and organizations that you care about. Um,
Yeah, my goal, one of the things I'd like to be able to do, and I'm working on towards this, there is not only, I'm going to be setting up some, page or so just for assistance, just with the swim, but not so much for me, but for a foundation called Inclusion Body Myositis. It's called IBM. One of my best friend, Jaime, he suffers from it. It's a debilitating disease that basically eats away at your muscle tissue. And he's right now in LA, UCLA, receiving treatment at the UCLA myositis clinic. But it's a debilitating disease, and it's horrific because you basically just lose control of your limbs and everything else, and because it just literally eats away, and there's not much research done on it because it's very rare. Peter Frampton actually suffers from it. So
Hmm.
I'd like to be able to raise some funds for that. So that's going to be something that's going to be in the works that I'm going to introduce as well. So yeah, to your point, Jim, there are always events, there are always causes that you can actually include. I mean, there's always the Tampa Bay Frogman swim, which is basically a swim that's put on just for the fallen Navy SEALs, and our friends, the pretties, Denise and Dave, they actually started their own Frogman swim for the same purpose up in Maryland, the Chesapeake. And this year was the first time they swim, and it was a great success, and they raised a lot of money for it, a lot of money. So yeah, there's constantly things you can do, and just like any other event, any other sport. But yeah, definitely stuff that we can do as well.
it's kind of thing like open water swimming is kind of like a gift.
Mhm.
That you were able to discover it.
Yeah,
At least that's the way I feel. It's like it was a gift for me. It helped me get through a lot. Uh, but then there's a point where you've gotten so much from it,
I
you
want
might
to
as well
get
pay
back.
some forward.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, it got me through probably the hardest period of my life, and my group got me through it. And go figure, I gained my therapy and my lifestyle, and I gained a family. So I
Can't
win.
beat that. Yeah,
Tell us
win-win.
about gaining a family.
Yeah, big win. See
Tell
what?
us about gaining a family. When you say that? What does that mean for our viewers?
Our group is a group is super tight. The core group of people, we're all super welcoming. And just what's amazing about DOS, Dual Ocean Swimmers, is it becomes your pod if you let it. Amazing group of people that are super active, that are super, all walks of life, all ages, all abilities. They all share the same love of being, to swim and being out in the ocean. That's what bonds us. But everybody's positive, everybody's encouraging, everybody's super friendly, everybody is just welcoming, and the thing about it is everybody cares about each other.
Mhm.
And it's a very, very unique combination of people and um, disposition, so to speak, and it's special. And this is a group, these people, they're the core people that are, got me through, supported me. And I can take countless examples of stuff that when I was, suffering, or when I was in a bind and had somebody bail me out. I just helped me out when I needed it, when I was least expecting it. I can go on and on about it. And,
Mhm.
and some of the things that some people did for me, I will never, ever forget. Um, and yeah, you want to pay it forward. And by that in the same respect, you also understand that these people become more than just acquaintances and friends. They become your family. They become your pod. Some of these people are closer to me. I'm closer to them than my own family, because we share these similar experiences. We share, these similar passions, and we care about
Right.
each other, and we experience these things together, and it bonds us. It unites us. There's nothing better.
So before
really
we
is, that
wrap
really
up,
is
because we're getting
inspiring.
close
That
to the
really
end.
is inspiring.
It is. It is.
You have
What date is Catalina?
October 1, 10, 2.
All righty. All right. Well,
Are you
the
nervous
family,
yet?
he doesn't
Yeah.
look nervous. He
No,
doesn't look nervous.
no. I might put on a good facade, but deep down, I'm like, holy moly, what the hell? What have I got myself into?
I know. Well, before I wrap it up, I
Yeah,
want to
no,
say, yeah, go ahead. Go
go
ahead.
for it. No, I was just, right now I'm just, positive thoughts and positive visions. I'm like, what kind of He-Man pose am I going to do from shore, when I finish, that stuff.
Right. I wanted to, right before we wrap up here, I wanted to thank our audience members for sticking around and listening to us. And Jim, have you got any closing thoughts for us?
No, I think I really don't, because Giancarlo covered it all. And I think, it's just, I guess the big takeaway is, at least as far as the sport is concerned, is that it's multifaceted, it's inspirational, it makes you feel good, right? And I don't think there's anybody in our group that would disagree with that. It's a life changer. It helps you get through whatever you need. And even if you don't swim, just get in the darn water. That's my closing thought. And I'm looking forward to your swim. We're going to be able to track you online.
Yeah, we'll make sure we do that. Yeah, we'll be tracking it.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we'll follow up. We can follow up with Giancarlo after the swim, right, Trace?
Yep, we certainly can.
Great.
That'd be
Look forward
great.
to it. It'll be fun.
I'm so glad you finally got on here, because
Yeah, it was
it's
a real good
important to me
time.
to have you here.
Yeah, it was a good time. Definitely enjoyed it.
Great talk.
Yeah,
Great
thank you very
talk.
much. I mean, yeah, no, like to Jim's point, we all have a passion for it. I have a massive passion for it. It's my lifestyle now. And I can't stay out of the water long, because my gills will start to dry up and I start to feel funny. I don't like it. So, we have a saying. I came up with a saying. It's one of my favorite. A friend of mine came up with it, and I actually stole it. So, Marlene, it's your credit. But she said it's, for morning swimming with the ocean, with the sunrise, it's called rising and brining. Rise and brine. And
Rise and brine. I haven't heard that. That's great.
Rise and brine. So
that's great.
And my old one is always get your ocean on. So, just get in the water and just, there's a reason why we respond so positively to it. And why people, I mean, your disposition just gets better, it improves. And yeah.
So thanks for everybody for coming out and listening.
Thanks, guys.
And then, Trace is going to put this up later on YouTube and the Contrast Project channel, right? So if you missed it or want to tell people about it, we will put up a link on Duval Ocean Swimmers at my page, Giancarlo's page, and Tracy's page, so you can watch it after Tracy edits out all the cuss words. We didn't always have any cuss words this time
pretty
around.
clean, actually.
We got through
tried to
No
enjoy
editing required.
We got through this one without too much cussing. That doesn't
That's
always
awesome.
happen. That doesn't
Thanks.
always happen.
Thanks, Bertozzi.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, hey, you bet. Thanks, man. Appreciate it very much. I had a great time.
Cheers.
Well, that's a wrap. Another fantastic episode of the podcast. You can find us on all the social media platforms, wherever you surf, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, Threads, wherever. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. And on our YouTube channel, don't forget to like, share, comment, and smash that subscribe button. If you're streaming audio for the podcast, you can find us wherever you get your favorite podcast programs. In the meantime, I like to tell everybody, take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, peace.